What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sector for Nerds, and welcome to another episode of Star Wars The Clone Wars Retro Discussions. Today we're going to be talking about Clone Wars Season 2, Episode 11, Lightsaber Lost. This episode was directed by Giancarlo Volpe and written by Drew Z. Greenberg. The cookie for this episode: easy isn't always simple. Before I turn it over to Intro Guy, make sure you guys like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, become a member today. There's 3 different tiers for you guys. There's a Padawan tier, a Knight tier, and a Master tier. Join today to get exclusive perks, and for our Master tier members, getting exclusive content that only you have access to. Also, make sure you guys are staying tuned every single Wednesday as I give you guys my thoughts on each and every episode of Star Wars The Bad Batch Season 3. Alright, you guys, it is that time of the day to bring in the man who this week wants to be referred to as the architect. He is a visionary, he is a revolutionary, he is Intro freaking Guy. So take it away. War creates opportunity for the criminal underworld. Ruthless mercenaries conspire with the Separatists to disrupt and exploit the unstable situation within the Republic. Now, Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano descend into the treacherous gangster havens in an effort to find a corrupt and vile arms dealer who is buying weapons on the black market and selling them to the Republic's enemies. Thank you, Intro Guy, as always. I feel like we gotta be careful, though. I don't know where you keep getting these nicknames from, man, but we gotta make sure that we're not getting, like, taken off the channel here or anything, that we're not, like, taking other people's ideas and stuff, you know what I'm saying? Aside from the point, let's get into talking about this episode. This is our first standalone episode that we've had in a little while. Lately, we've just been talking about arcs, right? Like, we had, like, the Geonosis arc, then we had the General Grievous 2-episode arc. This one, it's just one and done. And the whole plot of this episode is that Ahsoka's lightsaber gets stolen. This is our first time where we really get to explore more of Coruscant in the Clone Wars, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, we had that one scene with Cad Bane in his apartment, but that's really all we got. Before that, it's just been, like, stuff in the Jedi Council or in the Senate. So Ahsoka's lightsaber gets stolen. Anakin doesn't realize this. They capture a dude that was selling weapons to the Separatists. They go back to the temple. Ahsoka runs off to, go to the library to do some research, quote unquote. She's got to find the person that has her lightsaber. Jocasta Nu doesn't know how to find him, but there is someone who might. An old Jedi by the name of Tera Sinube. Now, while this episode isn't one of my favorites of the Clone Wars, just because there's so many of them, this was still a fairly good episode, and I loved the interactions between Sinube and Ahsoka, because Ahsoka, you can tell, like, the minute that they meet, she is, like, super impatient to try and find the person that has her lightsaber. Like, you can see her while Sinube's trying to, like, look stuff up on his computer, like, she's just, like, pacing back and forth, she's rolling her eyes, like, she's got those, like, face expressions on her face, like, oh, come on, this dude's so slow. Typical impatient teenager kind of stuff, you know what I'm saying? There's a couple big lessons that he teaches her in this episode, and the big one is patience. He's like, look, if you don't slow down, you're not gonna find what you're looking for. And once they get to the area where they know this dude is, he's like, if you would just quiet your mind, that's the other big one in this episode, quiet your mind. If you did, as a Jedi, you would be able to sense the dude's anxiety, because the dude was stressed, right? Like, oh my gosh, did I make the right deal? Did I cover all my tracks, all this stuff? He clearly didn't, but Sinube says, look, if you were calm, you would know that he's in this room. And he was right, because Ahsoka just busts down the door impatiently, and she's like ready to start beating the crap out of him, almost like how Anakin would. I think it's interesting, because one of the things that I always like to say about Ahsoka is that she represents all of Anakin's best qualities, but I think there are a couple of them that she kind of, takes to some of his darker qualities a little bit, like the way that she just, like, tosses him across the room with the Force, like she's super angry. Very un-Jedi-like, They find out that the lightsaber was sold to a guy named Knack Movers, who I guess is a killer, and Ahsoka was afraid of that happening because if her lightsaber was in the hands of someone else and someone else used that lightsaber to kill innocent people, she would kind of feel as responsible as the one that's dealing the blow. Sinube was able to find the room once again that this next intruder was located in, but not because he used the Force, but because, you look at the door and the lock is busted, so it's like, okay, this is probably our destination. They get in there and he's dead. But then there's this girl that we meet named Oni Marcy, and she's not very convincing, like, at all. Are they gone? So then I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, well then what happened between the time of these so-called intruders being in there and Ahsoka and Sinube entering? Like, would you not have heard them left? Sinube kind of sits with her while Ahsoka goes to investigate the other rooms, and he plants a tracker on her because he knows that something's up with her. Quick thing about Tera Sinube, you guys. He was voiced by Gregory Baldwin. I know that name because he voices Iroh in Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra, after the actor who played him previously passed away. Man, now that I'm thinking about it, between Gregory Baldwin and then Giancarlo Volpe directing this episode, there were several people in this episode that also had a presence in Avatar: The Last Airbender working on that show. Honestly, you guys, to me, like, those are two of the greatest, like, animated television shows of all time, just, like, right there. Anyway, back to the episode. Ahsoka searches the other room, and she opens up a closet, and then you see the shot of, like, Ahsoka looking in there, and all of a sudden another figure pops up behind her, and it was kind of like a jump scare.
Time to die. How does this work? My lightsaber! You're a Jedi?
The girl runs away. She has Ahsoka's lightsaber. She's very athletic. We find out that she's a Tyrellian Django jumper. A lot of this episode is just Ahsoka chasing her, and Sinube puts all the pieces together. He says, well, you said, Ioni, that it was a group of men that attacked, but yet my associate says that it's a female. And Ioni's just like, well, I don't know. There was a group of them. I didn't catch all their faces. And he kind of notices that the dead guy, like, oh, he seems like he'd be a pretty credible fighter. Like, surely he would have been able to hold his own unless he was poisoned. He figures it out. She's in league with the bounty hunter.
You weren't afraid because you were in danger. You were afraid we would find your friend hiding in the other room. You're in league with the bounty hunter! Arrest her! Off she goes, always rushing.
She ends up getting away on her speeder, which she was able to, like, remote access, which I thought was pretty cool. She ends up picking up the Tyrellian Django jumper bounty hunter. We find out her name's Cassie. The two of them get away, and Ahsoka's just sat there like, son of a gun. But she kind of sits there calmly. Sinube comes by with a police speeder, and he's like, patience, Padawan, we will cut them off at the train station. And Ahsoka's like, wait, how do you know they're going there? And he's like, did I mention that I put a tracker on the girl that ran away?
Hey! You're driving too slow! We need to go faster!
Patience! We'll cut them off at the train station!
How do you know they're headed there?
Did I mention I planted a tracking device on Ioni, the girl that ran away?
No?
Oh, Sinube's the man. So they get to the train station, they find him. The police droids end up capturing Ioni, but Cassie ends up making a getaway onto the train. Ahsoka follows suit. Sinube walks up to Ioni and is like, oh, you ran off in such a hurry. I don't think you meant to be that rude. Ioni's like, I have nothing more to say to you, Jedi. And Sinube is like, well, I guess you were meant to be a little rude.
You ran off in such a hurry. I trust you didn't mean to be rude.
I have nothing more to say to you, Jedi.
Well, perhaps you meant to be a little rude.
Ahsoka follows Cassie onto the train. She ends up taking hostages. Ahsoka tries to bargain with her, like, look, I'll trade myself for them. You know how much I'm worth to the Jedi. It'd be a good deal. Just let them go. And to the credit of Cassie, she was very, showed off her intelligence in this scene as well, where she's like, once we're alone, you just use a Jedi Force trick on me, so no deal. And yeah, she's probably not wrong. And you think, like, man, this girl's about to make her getaway again. She's got hostages now. Like, who knows if she's gonna kill them? Oh, wait, here comes Tera Sinube. And my man pulls his lightsaber out of his freaking cane. I'm like, this dude is amazing. When I get old like that, I want to be like Tera Sinube. I want to be funny. I want to be smart. I want to be able to, like, some guy tries to, like, pickpocket me in the street or something. I just be able to pull out something and kick his butt. Sinube can do it all. And obviously he defeats her.
For a guy that moves slow, you always seem to get ahead of me.
The value of moving slowly is that one can always clearly see the way ahead.
And Ahsoka looks over, like, off the train. She can see that the mother and child are okay. Which, honestly, I think at that point was kind of the most important thing to her anyway. That's why she was so willing to, like, trade herself for those two, because at the end of the day, it was like, okay, forget about the lightsaber, just don't harm anybody, it's not worth it. So I think, honestly, I think that moment gave Ahsoka, like, the ultimate satisfaction that she needed. And the very end of the episode is Ahsoka and Sinube going to the Jedi Temple training room with Yoda and the younglings. Yoda's teaching class, and all of a sudden these two walk in and they got a lesson in patience. They got like 2 different lessons in one day, did those younglings. So yeah, you guys, this was a nice standalone episode. There's not really much more to it, right? Like, it's a good Ahsoka episode. We're introduced to Tera Sinube, who I think is a very cool Jedi. Unfortunately, I don't think he ends up meeting the greatest end, or at least so we assume from the Kenobi series. I mean, you look at that tube and you see a Jedi that looks exactly like him. Yeah, kinda got a feeling that he doesn't meet the greatest end. Also, the bounty hunter Cassie and the girl Ione, were they meant to be together? Like, as a couple? I mean, originally Ione was the girlfriend of Nat, the guy that was claimed as the killer, right? But if it was all like an attempt to be able to get the lightsaber, make a good profit off of it, her and Cassie could live happily ever after. I mean, I don't know. They could have just been friends as well. Cassie didn't seem to have a problem abandoning her after the police guards showed up. Like, surely you would have thought that she would have taken the lightsaber and cut up the droids that were attacking her as well, but she didn't really seem too concerned. But yeah, you guys, you'll have to let me know what you think about this episode in the comments below. Next week, you guys, we're going to be talking about Season 1, Episode 12, The Mandalore Plot. It is about that time, people. This is an arc I've been waiting for. And if you guys want early access to that episode, you are able to do so if you become a $10 tier member, become a part of the master tier here on my channel, and you can get early access to that episode starting this Friday. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share this video with others to help support the channel, and I will see you guys next time.
For generations, my ancestors fought proudly as warriors against the Jedi. Now, that woman tarnishes the very name Mandalorian. Defend her, if you will.